So, I just got it to share with, and I just seen a couple of trans people make the statement that I'm not trying to replace the blueprint. I'm not trying to be a woman, and I get it because I think that and if we're being honest, a lot of black females legitimately are your main supporters when it comes to like our platforms. Like when you go down in the comment section, you see a lot of black females under, you know, the Butch Queens page, the gay bunnies, the girls who really like, right before mainstream or in mainstream, like a lot of the support typically comes from black women. I think when we speak of audiences, I think Shagacia's audience, well, not Shagacia, Shea Diamond's audience is a little different. I don't think that her audience is predominantly comprised of black women, but I think that a lot of our artists like when we look at Jay Ford, Sunkee Angel, TS Madison, like when we look at people like that who do big numbers, a lot of times you see a huge bit of support comes from black women. This is crazy. I was looking at my statistics, and I have more male followers. I have more men following me. I get more support from men, which is interesting. That's probably why y'all don't never send me no donations. I be thinking that it be the trans community that be watching my videos, and that it be females that really be supporting me. But low key, the bulk of people who watch my videos identify as men. At least that's what the statistics say. But I was looking at this video um so she got this song got called Titties at the Top and Dick at the Bottom. And in one of the songs, and I mean I really like I appreciate her for making that song because I was seeing how everybody was celebrating her in the comment section, and like because everybody always saying you tried to trick them and fool them, and so what she's doing is like taking the power and just like owning it, and like like no, you ain't finna say I lied, you ain't finna say I tricked. Like she's giving an anthem, and she's changing this narrative. She's turning this stigma around. She does a lot of work with that, and I'm really, I really commend her for that. I really commend her for always using her platform to have conversations that I feel are necessary. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna belabor this video because I am kind of sleepy. I've been doing a lot of stuff today, but I wanted, and I may expound on this at another time. Like this will probably not be the last time that y'all ever hear me talk about this. But the reason why me and Empathy created the purple print is because this is where we are in consciousness, r- remembering that before there was even a blueprint, there was a purple print. You know, like like every time I hear us say, what makes a female will never change. Um, I'm like, but why is that even a conversation? Like just like what makes a male, what makes XY will never change. But there's also so many other variables in between that really don't get, like everybody is not it's not XX or XY, but these are the variables that we typically hear about, or the genetic codes that we hear about, because these are the ones that assure that you will be able to procreate and and bring and cultivate life here on this planet. But before there was the XX chromosome and the XY chromosome, these chromosomes were combined, and there were beings who were self-propelled. There were beings who were able to reproduce parthenogenically, and um we get a taste of these stories when we hear about how Wonder Woman was created, or how Hippolyta was able to create Wonder Woman without having to um like participate in a sexual act in order to create her. Now, there's different variations of the story where, she slept with Ares and that's how she got her. But then there's other stories where, she legitimately like molded her out of sand. But then there are stories where she just kind of like came into her womb. And these stories are based on the Amazonian stories of these beings who were to a certain degree hermaphroditic, and they were able, and we don't know what these beings look like because this was thousands of years ago, but we try to imagine what they look like. But we know, just using deductive reasoning, that their DNA was different than ours. Their DNA hadn't been impacted in the way that our DNA has been impacted. All of this constant division, pollution, the food being stepped on, just all of, like the quality of life. Like we want to pretend like it's improving and like it's getting better, but more money, more problems, more people, more problems. So I just feel like there were beings that existed that I don't know what the word is. So there's evolve, and then there's a word that's the opposite of evolve. Um the word is missing me right now. But I think that's what happened to the human species. I don't think that it's all been evolution. I think some of it, I think some of it has been the opposite of that. And so I just don't, I feel like there were beings who possess the ability to procreate without needing a partner. There were beings who were in, like, if it's possible in the ocean, if there are beings that are able to do this stuff in the ocean, then I'm sure that there were beings that were able to do this on land. Because most things that are on land, if not all things, have an origin story that begins in the ocean. So when we say um that there's a blueprint, it's kind of, it's like, what are you saying? Because I know at the end of the day, I'm just as much my father as I am my mother. It's like, when it's like this whole blueprint thing is almost like saying that's all that we are. Like that's all that we're trying to be. Like, because I don't feel like I was born in the wrong body. I do feel like I was born with the wrong parts to be comfortable in this body, to procreate in the way in which I would have felt comfortable, to to experience parenthood in the way that I would have felt comfortable. But I don't feel like I needed a whole different body to do that. I feel like I could have used some ovaries and some fallopian tubes and some eggs in the womb, like, you know what I'm saying, and some mammary glands. But I could have used some different sexual reproductive organs, but not necessarily new hands, new feet, a different brain, a different face. I didn't need a whole different body. I just, could have used some different plumbing. So there are a lot of things about me that I love, and a lot of things about me that I wouldn't want to change. And I think it's a combination of my mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great grandmother, my great grandfather, all of my great grandmothers, and all of my great grandfathers. I think that it's a blend of their genetics that helped to create me. So I definitely don't feel like I needed a different body. I think that I'm some of all of it. So I'm always I'm always puzzled when we use that term, the blueprint. The black woman is the blueprint. Okay, the blueprint for what though? Like that's like the question for me, because before it was her, before it was the black man, there was another being. Like, I don't think that the first beings that ever walked this planet are the first beings that came out of the ocean. Like, this is the conversation that we're not having. This is the conversation that I feel like not enough scholars talk about or researchers talk about. We're not having conversations, and it's not being released to us about hermaphroditic beings. Like, and I just for the life of me don't believe that her hermaphroditic beings have never existed, because whenever we hear stories about the Orisha or about divinity, divine beings, we always hear that they were hermaphroditic. We always hear these um beings were able to depict themselves as both male and female. We even heard this about the angels in the Bible, is that they were genderless and they were able to. So if they were able to depict themselves in this way, and if they were able to manifest in this way, and to show up in this way, and they were sleeping with humans or whatever we were, how did they not pass that on to us? How were we not impacted by that? Like, it's just so many questions for me that are never answered. So the blueprint, so when we say the blueprint, is it the blueprint for the binary? Is it the blueprint for this binary system? Like, is that what we're acknowledging? Because I be needing clarity. Like, even when it comes to the men, because I'm wondering, do trans men or do trans masculine beings feel like, you know, men who was born, or males who identify as men with penises, do they feel like that men are the blueprint for them? Like, but to me, I feel like these are halflings, and there was a purple print, because when we talk about the blueprint, it's like this is the first. When I think of a blueprint, I'm, you know what? That's gonna be my next word of the week. Blueprint. I gotta Google this shit. I got to, I got to research. I need the definition of blueprint, because we gotta talk about this. Because I ain't gonna lie, when I hear that word blueprint, like, and when we say what it means to be a female will never change, that's the part that is puzzling for me, because how do you define a female? Like, what language are we using to define what a female is? Are we basing it on sexual parts? Um because we can't necessarily prove genetics or DNA without testing. We don't know if it's XX. We don't know if we don't know if it's a variation of, we don't know if we haven't done genetic testing. So when we say female, how are we determining it? The same way with male. How are we determining this? Like we're just determining it based on genitalia? Because there are males who are born literally with penises and nut sacks, but inside their stomach there's been proven that some males are born with ovaric tissue. It's been proven that some males are born with mammary ducts. And so it's a slippery slope when we trying to classify using science to classify to make being female a monolith. and to make being male a monolith, because there are other genetic variables that we don't talk about. So what area do they fall into? So it's just it's I think there's more to unpack. There's a greater conversation to be had, and I'm definitely here for it. Like, this is not the last time I'm gonna talk about it. Every time I hear that blueprint stuff, I'm like, but the blueprint for a binary system, like, are these beings that we identify as men who are born with penises and who identify with manhood, and these beings who are born with vaginas who identify with womanhood, are they the blueprint for this binary system? And are we trying to follow that blueprint? Is that the conversation that we're having? Because I just need some clarity. I'm not asking for a friend, I'm asking for me. Like, when we say that the woman is the blueprint, because I never hear trans men saying that the black man is the blueprint. I never hear that. I only hear this going on in conversations involving trans women, or gay men, or heterosexual black men, saying that the black woman is the blueprint. So what is the black woman the blueprint for? For the binary system that we have, whatever the word for that's the opposite of evolve, that we have um separated from each other to create. Okay. Because to me, the blueprint, or the purple print rather, would actually be a hermaphroditic being that was able to procreate parthenogenically. That would be the original model, to put it in layman's terms. But I'm gonna leave y'all with that and let y'all unpack that. That's all I got for this video. I love you down, but now did I say cool? Keep spinning and turning. Iangani Iyanko Kalukalo, which means I am a child of God goddess. And if I am, then you know you are.